Sometimes life feels like an endless storm. You try to control everything. You plan, you dream, you set your heart on people and things, but somehow life doesn't go the way you imagine. That's when the heart begins to break, doubts creep in, and questions like why me echo in your soul. But pause for a moment. What if the very pain you are running from is the key to your growth? What if your struggles are not punishments but carefully written lessons by Allah Himself? The truth is, the moment you stop fighting the flow of destiny and begin to accept Allah's plan, something inside you begins to heal. That's the beginning of your rise. We often think rising means winning, achieving, or getting everything we ask for. But real rising begins when the heart surrenders to the one who controls everything. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means understanding that every delay, every closed door, every heartbreak, and every blessing is perfectly timed and designed for you. You stop blaming yourself, you stop resenting others, and instead you trust that Allah sees what you cannot see. Acceptance lifts a burden off your chest because you no longer carry the weight of what if and why me. Instead you say, Ya Allah, I trust you. That is where peace begins. There is a quiet strength that enters your heart when you stop wrestling with destiny. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that what is written for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. Imagine living with this truth. How much calmer would your heart be? How much lighter would your soul feel if you truly believed that nothing in this universe happens without Allah's wisdom? This is not just faith, it is freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from regret, freedom from anxiety. The moment you truly accept Allah's plan, you step into this freedom, and that freedom is what makes you rise. Life will always test you with things you never wanted, and it will withhold things you prayed for with tears. But in both cases, Allah is not abandoning you, He is guiding you. Sometimes He protects you by removing people from your life. Sometimes He delays your dream because you are not ready yet. Sometimes He closes a door because what is behind it would destroy you. But when you only see with human eyes, you see loss. When you see with the eyes of faith, you see protection. That shift of perspective is where acceptance grows. When you begin to trust Allah's wisdom over your own desires, you start to live differently. Instead of chasing everything, you walk with contentment. Instead of drowning in disappointment, you rise with patience. Instead of attaching your heart to people who can leave, you attach your heart to Allah who never leaves. And in that attachment, you find a strength that nothing in this world can break. Acceptance doesn't just help you survive pain, it transforms the pain into fuel for your rise. Think of a seed buried in the darkness of soil. It may seem trapped, unseen, forgotten, but in truth, it is being prepared to rise. Rain will fall, roots will grow, and soon it will push through the darkness into light. That is your life. Every hardship, every delay, every heartbreak is not your ending, it is your soil. The moment you accept that Allah planted you there for a reason, you stop resisting the darkness and start preparing to grow. That is when your rise truly begins. When your heart is restless, when your mind is overwhelmed, acceptance of Allah's plan is not weakness. It is the strongest thing you can do. Because you are saying, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. That certainty fills the cracks in your heart. It silences the whispers of doubt. It allows you to breathe again after nights of tears. Allah's plan is never cruel, it is careful. Every delay is mercy. Every hardship is a bridge. Every loss is a turning point. The moment you believe this, your wounds stop defining you. Your faith begins to define you. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment to be happy, when they get the job, when they marry, when they succeed. But what if happiness begins not when life is perfect, but when your trust in Allah is complete? What if rising doesn't mean waiting for things to change, but changing the way you see things? Acceptance is not about passively sitting back. It is about actively choosing peace, choosing patience, choosing faith. And when you do that, Allah fills your life with barakah you never imagined. Acceptance also brings you closer to gratitude. When you stop fighting destiny, you begin to notice blessings that were always there but ignored. You notice the health you still have, the roof over your head, the food on your table, the people who love you. You begin to see not just what is missing, but what has been given. And gratitude is a door to more blessings. Allah promises, if you are grateful, I will increase you. Acceptance leads to gratitude, and gratitude leads to elevation. That is how you rise. Even your failures are part of Allah's plan. Sometimes you lose so you can learn. Sometimes you fall so you can discover the strength to rise again. Sometimes your heart breaks so it can be rebuilt stronger, softer, and more attached to Allah. Nothing is wasted in Allah's plan. Every scar is a lesson. Every tear is a purification. Every setback is a setup for something greater. When you finally accept that your failures are not the end of your story but a chapter in your growth, you stop fearing failure. You start embracing it as part of the journey Allah wrote for you. Think about how different your life becomes with this mindset. Stress becomes lighter because you no longer try to control what is beyond your control. Anxiety lessens because you know that nothing slips from Allah's knowledge. Sadness softens because you trust that there is meaning in your pain. And joy increases because you begin to find peace not in outcomes but in trust. This is the secret of rising. It is not about controlling life but about surrendering to the one who controls life. Rising does not mean you will never feel pain again. It means your pain will no longer break you. It will shape you, guide you, and elevate you. You will walk with resilience because you know your heart is held by Allah. You will live with hope because you know His plan is better than your dream. And you will face life with courage because you know you are never alone. That strength, that peace, that light, it all begins with one thing: acceptance. The greatest people in history did not rise because life was easy for them. They rose because their trust in Allah was greater than their trials. Prophets faced rejection, loneliness, exile, and hardship, but they accepted Allah's plan with patience and faith. And through that acceptance, they became unshakable, rising higher than anyone imagined. Your story may not be the same, but your path is similar. The more you trust Allah's wisdom, the more you rise beyond your struggles. When you finally let go of the illusion of control and embrace the truth that Allah knows best, life becomes lighter. You walk with peace, you face challenges with strength, and you see setbacks with wisdom. Every single test becomes an opportunity to grow closer to Him. And that closeness is the greatest rise you can ever experience. Because rising is not about reaching the top of this world. It is about reaching closer to Allah. So if your heart is restless, if your soul is heavy, pause and remind yourself, the moment you accept Allah's plan, you begin to rise. Do not fight destiny, trust it. Do not fear tomorrow. Trust the one who wrote tomorrow. Your pain, your loss, your delay, none of it is wasted. Every step you take with faith is a step upward. And when you finally surrender with love and trust, you will see that what you thought was breaking you was in fact building you. Rise, because Allah's plan is always greater than yours. Sometimes Allah withholds something from you, not because you don't deserve it, but because He wants to give you something far greater than you ever imagined. What you see as unanswered prayers are often Allah's way of saying, trust me, I have something better. Think of the times in your life when something you desperately wanted slipped away, only for you to later realize that if you had received it, it would have harmed you. That is Allah's mercy in disguise. Acceptance allows you to see beyond the temporary disappointment and trust the bigger picture. When you carry this faith, your heart no longer drowns in despair. Instead, you wait with hope, knowing that Allah's timing is never late and His wisdom is never flawed. This is not just patience. It is an act of rising, because your hope is rooted not in outcomes but in the one who holds all outcomes. One of the most beautiful things about accepting Allah's plan is that it transforms loneliness into companionship. When you stop questioning, why did they leave me? Why did this happen to me? And instead whisper, Allah, I know you are with me. Everything shifts. You no longer feel abandoned because you realize the one who created your heart is the one who heals it. Acceptance creates intimacy with Allah. It makes your dua more heartfelt, your salah more grounding, and your tears more meaningful. When you talk to Allah, you don't just complain, you surrender, you trust, you rely, and in that reliance you find a companionship stronger than any human bond. You rise not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because your heart rests in the safest place it can ever be, in Allah's care. Acceptance also teaches you humility.